Hi guys, my name is Lisa Whitehouse and I'm the artist behind Whitehouse Art. Thank you for joining me today for one of my mini tutorials. Be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see other videos like this one. Let's get started. So for today, I'm going to be walking you through how to paint a feather with watercolor. I'm going to be using a number of colors just to create more of a rainbow effect, as well as to do the loose watercolor style that I'm known for. So first things first, you're going to want a variety of brushes. I like to use a liner brush as well as a flat angled brush. Those are my two favorites that I always have on hand. I use this ice cube tray, which doubles as a palette. I have a rainbow of colors, but some of my favorites that I always go to are my Prussian blue. I have a deep purple that I can't pronounce. I have a lamp black, a fairly bright yellow, orange, and red. I like to use yellow ochre as well as a teal. And the pink I use is called Permanent Rose. It's always good to have water on hand. I have one that has two compartments. So you can see here, I like to keep the dirty water on one side and the clear water in the other. And then of course my watercolor paper. Today I'm going to be using the Aquarello watercolor block. It's 100% cotton, cold pressed, 9" by 12" and 140 pounds. So I've already sketched out the feather. You can just draw a quick, even if you just do a quick Google search and look up a feather online, you can do any shape you want. It's not too important what style or what kind it is. We're going to be doing some purples and pinks on this feather with a bit of yellow ochre in the background. So first things first, I'm actually going to come in and do some background work. So I'm going to loosely trace around the shape I want for the feather. I don't always start with the background, but sometimes, like a case like this, I'm just kind of wanting to set down a bit of a background first. So I'm just putting clear water first and letting it follow the shape I want for the feather. And then I'm going to take a bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to lay it down here. And I'm going to take a little bit of the teal and add that in the background as well. And a little bit of green, maybe touch that in over here. I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason to why I'm choosing the colors I am. I'm just sort of putting them down as I see fit. We're not going to have a very strong background, so it's not important that you lay down a lot of color for the background. I want it to follow through here, so I want it to kind of appear like the background is coming through behind the feather. So I'm going to lay down some clear water here as well. And I'm going to have the same yellow ochre appearing. Now that came down a little bit strong, which can sometimes happen. So what I like to do when that happens is take a bit of clear water and just run it up beside again. That'll help it bleed into the background. Just add a little bit of teal there. And then we'll let that green come through again too. I really like the way the bright lime green sometimes mixes with the teal and creates this nice deep but still bright green. Then I'm going to take my flat brush. I like to have a nice medium flat brush like this where I use for splatters, because I'm going to add a few splatters right off the bat here. A few green, just to right away create that loose style for the background. Then a bit of yellow ochre. And it's okay if some of the splatters end up where the water's still wet, because that's going to dry and it'll create a really nice effect. So now we're going to let that dry a little bit. So I'm actually going to go in and add a little more of this Prussian blue. Actually, I haven't added any Prussian, so it's not blue. We're going to add a bit of Prussian blue right here and then right here. And that's all I'm going to do there. So now we're going to let this dry, and then once it's fully dry, I'm going to come back and actually get right into the body of the feather. All right, so now that the background's all dry, I've sort of changed my mind as to what colors I want to work with, just because I've decided that actually keeping that Prussian blue for the feather might be quite nice. And we can add some hints of purple, but I think the blue and teal as the focus might actually be nice. So the background will be more of a washed out version of the feather. So just like with the background, we're gonna go ahead and fill in with water first. And it's important to leave certain parts white with the feathers. So we're gonna fill in most of it, but we're gonna leave, I'm gonna keep a bit of a dry brush so that some spots end up being left white. My paper's drying super fast today, so when that happens, sometimes you just have to work fast and re-wet it as you go. I'm adding a few details, as you can see, just with the tip of the brush. We're going to do the other side now. It's the same sort of idea. We're just going to fill in the other side. Because this is the first coat going down, it's not important that the two sides don't bleed together. It's okay if parts of them do and parts of them don't. That's part of the loose watercolor charm. So I'm going to take some teal and work along the edge where the yellow ochre is. And then I'm going to take blue and work that in along the bottom. So as this dries, we're going to continue to add the detail. And you can see I'm sort of changing the shape of the feather as I go. It just felt like it should be a little bit pointy at the end. I'm going to do a few strokes here as well. Then I'm going to bring in a bit of that purple that I talked about. Just a small amount. Nothing too crazy. So now I think actually having a little bit of yellow ochre over here might be nice. Bringing the background into the piece. So I'm liking the way that's going now. I'm going to, while this is all drying, I think I'm going to add a few more lines. And some of them will dry and some you'll see after it's dry. Some will dry and bleed in is what I meant to say. This is why I did the background first, so that I could add those strokes and you'd still see them. You'd still be able to see the background through them versus trying to cut in with the background after. So I'm going to add a few splatters here and there. And some of them I do with clear water so that they're all different sizes. So I'll put a few splatters down and then I'll add some clear ones and then add a few more splatters. So they kind of bleed all over the place and there's if you change the height at which you do them too, it changes the size. So I've done quite a few now. And what I'm going to do is take a paper towel and dab up a few of the ones that I'm not as big of a fan of. So that's just taking some of the clear ones away. And some, if I don't like them, I'll just dab them up a bit. Lighten up parts of that feather. Then we're gonna let this dry again. You'll sense a theme with my paintings. I let them dry a lot in between because what I want to do is add some more detail on the feather itself as it dries, and then we'll go from there. So now that it's dry, we're on the last final push to get the feather done. So we're just gonna add some little details. Just using the tip of the liner brush, I'm just going to add some lines. We're gonna have a central line that varies in thickness. Using the Prussian blue. And then coming out from that, we're going to have some of these thin lines. You can move fairly quickly. They should vary in width. That's pretty much all you're wanting to do for that. And then I would take your medium flat brush and add a few more splatters just on top. And then we're just gonna sign this at the bottom. If there's anything you guys want to see me paint, just let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for new suggestions, what you guys want to learn to do. Really helps me get inspired on what to offer next. So that's it for this feather. We're going to let it dry completely. Sometimes when it's dry, I'll erase some of the pencil marks. I might add a few small lines with white pen if I decide it needs it. But this looks pretty good to me, so I think that's all for today. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys had fun. Be sure to check out my other videos for more inspiration and leave a comment below with some ideas that you want to paint. Thank you and see you next video.